Okay, so today, wait, what? Oh, what sadness. But anyway, okay, so today we are going to make an anime wood texture from this scene, from the poll on the YouTube channel. You guys chose both the stone and wooden textures. So this tutorial will be for the wooden texture I used for this front cabin in this scene. If you guys want any other textures from this scene or any of my other scenes, you can always leave a comment down below. And also I would like to thank everyone on the Patreon, especially those on the Golden and Diamond Spoon tier list. You guys are always appreciated and are amazing. Alright, back to the video. Okay, so before we begin, just make sure you have your ambient occlusion checked on. The render engine is normally Eevee. I use Goo Engine, but for this tutorial you don't need Goo Engine. Okay, so first things first, bring in an image texture of wood. You can choose any one you want, or you can download my one in the link below. And then Ctrl-T it. Make sure to UV unwrap your object. Then after that, bring in a color ramp. You want to slide the white really low because you do not want the texture to be too detailed and realistic. You just want a little bit of that wood texture. Then bring in a mix color and plug that color ramp into the factor of that mix color. So we are going to set the A color of this mix color to a peachish white and the B color to a dull brown. And then I'm just going to join all of this into a single group by pressing Ctrl-J and then naming it. Then we are going to bring in a gradient texture and Ctrl-T it. We are going to just bring in another color ramp and crunch in the white to the black. Afterwards I'm going to rotate it on the Y 90 degrees. Okay, the reason why we crunched it is so that the darkness stays below. We don't want it to go too far. Okay, then after making the gradient tree, plug that into a mix color which is brought in the B socket and the base color into the A socket. And that mix color should be set to multiply, because then this gradient will be making the bottom of this building darker. Okay, so that is our texture so far. You could obviously stop here if you want a simple wood texture, but I want to go a bit further. This is why we need the ambient occlusion checked on in the render properties, because I'm going to bring in an ambient occlusion node and a color ramp in front of it. Then set the distance to 5 and the samples to 25. Because when you pull the black slider, you could see everything that is touching the building releases a sort of shadow. So now I'm just going to duplicate that multiply mix color and then plug the ambient occlusion tree into the B socket. And now as you can see, it's making a wonderful little dark shadow between each of the objects that intersect the building, which is very nice. Okay, now I'm going to make this wood texture seem like it has planks. So bring in a brick texture. Plug in this entire shader we made so far into the colors of the brick texture, then change the mortar size. You could keep it as is and make it as thick as you want, but I made it to 0.006. Then duplicate the same texture, change the colors to total white, and the mortar should be 100% black, because we are going to bring in a bump node. The bump node works with black and white values, so that's why we made it black and white. And make sure to plug that brick texture into the height of the bump node. Then plug the bump node into the normal and the other brick texture into the base color. And there we go. We have our wooden texture. Now all we need to do is change it as we want. So I'm going to change the mortar color of the first brick texture and the mortar size. And I'm also going to change some of the ambient occlusion settings, which, as you can see, if you bring it all the way to the edge, the shadow becomes very obvious, which I also think is pretty nice. It helps in that stylized look that anime normally has. But that is essentially our wooden texture for this scene. Each of the wooden textures are a little bit different, so if you guys want, then I could make the different styles for each of these buildings. And I'm also still going to make that stone texture that the other guys wanted. But that is it for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and see you in the next one. Alright, bye.